Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi with My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film a recently read and currently reading video. But before we get into the books, I just want to say welcome and hello to all my new subscribers. I know that many of you found your way over here from Rincey's very lovely comments about my channel on her BookTube book tag video. So welcome to all of you and all the rest of my new subscribers that I have suddenly acquired over the past week or so. I'm very happy to have you here, and I hope that you find some of the content on my channel to be to your liking. So today I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read over the past week or so and what I'm currently reading, and then at the end of the video I'm going to pop in a little more footage of some fall foliage that we're currently experiencing here around my area. I know some of you commented on the little snippet I put in a recent video of the fall foliage, and it's just been absolutely lovely this year in eastern Maine. So I'm going to pop that in at the end, so if that's something that you'd like to look at, just stay until the very end of the video. But in the meantime, let's talk about the books that I've read recently. And the first one is We Wish to Inform You That Tomorrow We Will Be Killed with Our Families, Stories from Rwanda by Gourevitch. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I have watched some videos of interviews with this author, and I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But this is a nonfiction book all about the conflict in Rwanda, the genocide in Rwanda, where in, I believe it was 1994, the government of Rwanda basically encouraged or told all of one ethnic population to kill off a second ethnic population. Rwanda is basically made up of two main ethnic groups, the Hutus and the Tutsis. And the Hutus were the party in power at the time, and they just began to kill all of their Tutsi neighbors at this time. And this book talks about the history, what happened prior to 1994, which led up to this conflict, and then what happened afterwards, and what happened in the country of Rwanda after the aftermath of genocide. I buddy read this book with Ciriella, and that was a fabulous experience. I loved our conversations about this book, but I have to say I didn't love this book. I had several problems with it. I liked the fact that I learned more about the history in general of the country. I knew pretty much nothing about Rwanda other than the fact that a genocide had occurred there in the 90s. So I did learn a lot, but I felt that this author was a little too obviously biased towards the Tutsi side of things, because while the Tutsis were the group that experienced the genocide, they certainly didn't, they had issues as well. They killed people as well, and so there was room for criticism on both sides of this issue, I thought, and that was not really explored. He definitely had some hero worship going on for a few of the main characters, or a few of the main people that he interviewed, and that became quite obvious by the end of the book. There's no index or bibliography or any supporting documentation to go with this book, so that made it difficult to look up some of the things that he references in here. And then in order to tell this story, he interviews a whole bunch of people that lived in Rwanda at the time and live there currently. And I feel that the book would have been stronger if he focused more on those personal stories rather than sort of editorializing his own thoughts on stuff. So a good book, but not a great one. I did learn more about a very important time period and a very important event that I shouldn't look away from. I should look at and acknowledge that this atrocious thing happened, and that the rest of the world simply stood by and allowed it to happen without stepping in. And that was one thing that I did take away from this, that was basically all of the more powerful countries in the world, including the United States, basically stood by and allowed the atrocities and the genocide to happen, and that was really, really disturbing. So if you want to learn more about the genocide in Rwanda, this is a good place to start, but I think I will have to read some more about this issue in order to get a more full picture. The second thing I completed is one I'm not going to talk about too much because I've talked about this book multiple times now on this channel, and that is The Overstory by Richard Powers. I absolutely love this book. It was a 5-star read for me. It's literary fiction. It's a huge book. It's like 500 pages. It's not going to be for everyone. It's not a fast-paced novel by any means. You follow a ton of characters and it can get confusing. There's some magical realism almost elements in it that I didn't think were entirely successful, but the message of this book I think is just tremendous. It just hits me in all my feels as a scientist. It's basically a love story to trees and forests, and it really explores, you know, what humans are doing to the earth and why it matters and what it's going to mean for us in the future. And I do, before I stop talking about this book and before you're all sick of it, I just want to read one more quote from the novel. I think really gets to, like, shows you an example a little bit of the writing style and the themes that are being explored. We're cashing in on 1 billion years of planetary savings bonds and blowing it on assorted bling. And what Douglas wants to know is why this is so easy to see when you're by yourself in a cabin on a hillside, and almost impossible to believe once you step out of the house and join several billion folks doubling down on the status quo. And that is definitely, you know, a message for our times, you know, fiddling while Rome burns, right? And then I listened to and completed on audio Lethal White by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, I think. And this is the 4th book in the Cormorant Strike detective series. And I love this series. I love it for the relationship between the two main characters, Cormorant Strike and his partner in the agency, Robin. And the mysteries are fine and good and interesting, but I'm gonna be honest and say the main reason I read these books is for the relationship between Cormorant and Robin. And this was a longer book. It was like 22 hours on audio, and I just burned through it. I just could not stop listening to it. I find Galbraith's writing to be very propulsive, and I love her character development. She reminds me of Stephen King in the way that she writes characters. They're just characters that you either love or love to hate, and they're just so interesting, and you want to find out more about them. So I just really loved it, and I thought it was great, and now I really hope that we don't have to wait 2 years for the next one, because that will be sad. And then today I just completed on audio as well Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick, and this is a memoir. Anna Kendrick is the lady who is the main character in the Pitch Perfect movies, and she was in Twilight, and she is from Maine, and so that was why I was interested in listening to this audiobook. She was actually born and raised in Portland, Maine, and I wanted to learn about how a girl from a small rural state like ours winds up a big famous movie star. And it was good in giving me that backstory of Anna Kendrick's life. It did get a little slow at times for me when she gets into the intricacies of you know, hair and makeup and how movie sets work and all that sort of thing. I'm not particularly interested in that kind of stuff, but she is funny. It's a comedic memoir, but it's not like nonstop, like constant. There's some, you know, just some storytelling as well, not just joke after joke after joke. So I did enjoy it. I would say it was like a 3-star read for me. It was good, but not great. So that's what I've read recently. And so what I'm currently reading is I'm in the middle of Hamlet by Shakespeare. And this is for the Read Harder Challenge, to read a book that you did not complete in high school or that you didn't like in high school. And I did not complete this in high school. I don't remember whether it was assigned and I just didn't complete it, or that we just talked about it and watched the movie. I know I watched the Mel Gibson movie, but I definitely didn't read it. And I've always been scared of it. And so what I'm doing is I'm reading this and also listening to an audio production of a play while I read it. And that is really helpful in helping me understand the tone and where the emphasis is supposed to be and what the emotion is for any particular scene. And this little Signet Classic is actually really good because you probably can't see it, but at the bottom of each page it has footnotes that define different terms or phrases within the dialogue, and I'm finding that very helpful as well. So, like I said, about halfway through the actual play, this has tons of material in the front and in the back that supports this play, and I'll probably go back and read some of that after the play is done. But I'm finding it enjoyable to listen to and read along at the same time. The other thing I'm reading is for Victober, and on my Kindle I am reading North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is my first Gaskell, and I am loving it. It is like shades of Jane Austen and Anthony Trollope, where you have this cast of characters in a village sort of setting, and each of the characters is fully fleshed out, and some you really don't like, and some you really like and are rooting for, but everybody has their own sort of foibles. And there's the main character is Molly, a young lady who lives with her father, who is a doctor, and so you're sort of following Molly's story as she interacts with all these other people in the village. The title of the book describes it all, Wives and Daughters, and I won't say any more than that other than to say Molly's mother died when she was young, and her dad, when the book opens, is single still, and so you can see where Wives and Daughters may come into play. I'm not going to say any more than that, but I am very much enjoying it and super glad that Victober inspired me to pick it up. And then the last thing that I'm currently reading is Best American Science and Nature Writing from 2017. This is edited by Hope Jahren, who wrote Lab Girl. I've only read one of the essays so far in this, and usually what I like to do is like maybe read an essay a night, or read one essay and then put it down and pick it back up again afterwards. And I really love these Best American essay collections, whether it's the science and nature or just the plain essay one. I find them really, really great. And if you like, this is just a conversation, it's just reminding me of a conversation I recently had with Sean, from Sean the Book Maniac over on his channel about nonfiction. If you like shorter, like magazine article or journal article type nonfiction, these collections are for you, because it takes the best of the best in any given year and binds them all up for you in these convenient little books, and they're super great. So that's what I have recently read and what I am currently reading. Please let me know down below if any of these books are something that you have read or you would like to read. And now I will leave you to see some beautiful fall foliage, and I will talk to you later.